This video will provide a sneak peek into the new result display settings in Adapt Builder 2018. And this particular feature will be available when we release Builder 2018.1. So we'll go ahead and show some of these new features. They're features that we are still working on. They should be available early 2019. And in this example, we're going to be using Floor Pro, Edge, RC mode, and US units. So we'll go ahead and from model, we're going to go ahead and select the option for floor wizard. And we'll just set up a floor here with a couple of bays and a couple of cantilevers on either end. This does not include post-tensioning, it's just an RC slab. And what we'll do is go through the general analysis and design process for the slab. So we'll go to analysis, mesh generation, we'll create a mesh, and then we're going to execute the analysis for the load combinations shown here. We'll go OK, and this would be the normal process a user would step through to obtain first analysis results and then design. And once we obtain analysis results, we can see that the result display settings dialog will appear. That's this floating panel. It's actually represented by under analysis result display settings. The icon is this set of red eyeglasses. So in the results view, this is going to look different for those of you that have used Builder 2017 or the current version of Builder 2018. The first thing to note is that the options available in the analysis tab are dynamic. So currently we have results for slabs, columns, and walls. If I expand slabs, for example, deformations, and I look at the contours in the Z direction, the program will report the contours because they're available to be reported. The same thing might be applicable, for example, to column axial forces. And if I go to column actions, we have two options. We have combination, which is the current selected combination. Here it's service sustained load. If I go over here to loads, this categorizes load combinations and load cases. And those are different because a load case can stem from a different usage case. So you could have multiple usage cases set up in the program, and the program would collect all of the reactions relevant to the solved usage cases. So in this case, we're going to switch this to total load. You can see this heads up item will change to service total load. Going back to analysis, if we select the option under action combination, then we're going to produce an action for this combination which was selected in loads. And here I can turn on, for example, the axial forces in the columns. I'll rotate this so we can see those. We can see there are axial forces shown for the columns. Similarly, we can look at shears, moments, etc. for those columns. Now, if I wanted to look at the individual load case actions, I might go back to loads, and here we have dead load, live load, and self weight. But we need to switch the result from action combination to action load case. So here this is action dead load case, and what has been selected is the uncracked usage case level solution. So here if I switch this to axial force for the load case, these are the axial forces for the dead load that was just solved in single level mode for the uncracked usage case. And we could go again and change this to different actions relevant to the selected component, which in this case is a column. And then we have a legend that will update dynamically as we change different display for actions or stresses or whatever the analysis result is. The same thing would be true for walls. Here we don't really have any walls modeled yet, so this would just be blank. We don't have anything to show, so we wouldn't select anything with walls. Another thing you'll notice is if I move around within these different tabs, the program retains the expanded trees within each of the tabs. If I close this and I come back to it, the program has retained what was expanded. If I, for example, collapse slab, column, and wall, I close and I go back, this will be stored. If I expand slab, close, and come back, you can see that the slab expansion is retained. Now the next thing we're going to do is actually design the the support lines, or the design strips rather, and also the punching shear check. If I do punching shear check now, we'll go to floor design, I'll execute the punching shear check. You can see that under analysis, the program will actually add that option to the tree. So it's not that it's not available, it's just that you have to actually perform the operation before it becomes available in the tree. If I expand this, we have additional graphical displays for punching shear, and those are also talked about in another sneak peek video related to punching shear. If you check out our YouTube channel, you'll see that that video is available for your viewing. If we go and generate design cuts for this two-way slab and then design the design cuts, you're going to notice that the option for design sections will appear. And that happens right here. We have design sections, we have deformation, actions, bending, shear, axial, etc., and also stresses. This allows us to check flexural stress, precompressive stress at mid-depth of the slab, balance loading, and so on. So these are all checks that may be available that are available in the current version and in older versions. They're just represented a little bit differently and more user-friendly here in this format, with also the icons that are shown next to the selectable items. Another thing that's available in this version of this upcoming version of the program, I'll go ahead and just clear the display. If you have the need to create a manual design cut, let me turn off the column actions here. I think we had on the case actions. Let's turn those off. Okay, so if we create a manual design cut, and I'm going to use the option under strip modeling to create a cut, and let's say we wanted to investigate a couple of specific locations in a slab, and rather than generate design cuts or design strips and support lines and splitters, we just go in and draw manual cuts. If I design those cuts specifically, I'll just select these. You could also group them with design strips, but I'll isolate these and run the analysis. You'll notice now that the program includes an option for manual design sections. And so from this result display, we can, for example, check deformation. And this shows me the deformation for the selected load combination, surface sustained along that cut. I can look at things similar to the design sections. I can look at actions. So this is, for example, bending moment. And you can see the text is a little bit small, so I can go over to settings. Under general settings, we can change the font. And that might be right here under diagram result settings. We'll change this to, let's say, 20. Okay, so these are the integrated actions in terms of the moments. Axial force, shear, shear in plane, etc. And we can also expand out the number of significant digits using settings again in the settings tab. We can also look at stresses for these cuts. So if we expand, we can look at top and bottom stress and some percentage of the allowable stress as defined under the criteria for the type of design cut it is. So these design cuts, if I double click, are two-way slab cuts. The program would then show us some percentage of the total allowable stress in this case. So we don't have any stress reported for these cuts because we don't have any post-tensioning modeled in the model. And we have, again, cuts for manual design sections that are similar to what we would report for design sections that are generated through creation of design strips from support lines and splitters. So this is a new feature that's available inside of the result display settings. Additionally, there are tabs for Colorize. We have these options available in the current version, but these are just categorized now in this section with this graphical icon that's shown. And this is currently pertaining mostly to wall design for thickness material, reinforcement, where the reinforcement is included, whether it be zone or panel. And also down here we can colorize walls themselves by thickness, material, or pure label. Display, this allows the user to set up graphical display checks for design cuts, components, for example drift, the row value for walls and zones, utilization display for graphical column checking, and so on. So there's some options here for component display and also wall design section display. And then finally, under settings, we have just general settings that pertain to the graphical results. General unit system. Here, if we were to change, the unit system, then we would have the ability to modify these particular forces, force per width, moment, and just different units for different results that we're looking at. And then finally, the diagram result settings shown here, contour settings, and column and wall design status settings. So again, the important thing to remember also is that these are all stored in terms of expanding or contraction of the selections. If I close this and come back to it again, you can see those all retain the state that was currently set and then exited from. If you have any questions about this or would like to provide any feedback, please contact us at support@adaptsoft.com. Thank you.